Hello guys, this is Dr. Lior Bar-El, and man, do I have some good news for you. First off, I just got to mention this. A while back, I think it was around April, I heard a little bees, a little bees buzzing there near my ear, and I told you guys that there's some development going on in my video then, that I heard that there's going to be another wrestling game in the works. And I also did a video a long time ago, you could check that out, about a new Def Jam game coming out as well. And you're seeing all of these things actually come into fruition. The reason why I always like to get validation before I make videos and stuff like that, because there's a lot of rumors going around. You have to sift through a lot of garbage, and it is what it is. And I get my information directly from Nintendo of America. I get my information from different sources of people that I know. And what happens is sometimes, even though they plan certain things, it ends up not happening. So even though this is true news, it could end up being something with copyright issues and stuff that eventually makes everything collapse and it doesn't come out. So I'm just, I don't like to shoot out, rumor videos. But what I like to do is, after I get enough information, to say this is in the works. So what I'm validating right now is not that a new wrestling game is coming out for the Nintendo Switch, which now you're starting to see a lot of rumors going on. Oh, it's coming out for the Switch. There's no validation in that whatsoever. There's no validation that even this game will come out. What there is validation of is that there is now work that is being done on a new wrestling game. And I'm gonna now tell you what I always can't pronounce it, but Furuta said. So basically, Furuta's quotes is, "I think having no competitor isn't healthy at all." Furuta now is from Ukes, okay? Said in a recent interview in VGC, okay? So when we had competitors in the wrestling space, we were determined not to lose, and that was a great motivator for creating something great. Now, what he's saying basically is, because 2K pretty much ruled the market, there's no competitors whatsoever, it ain't healthy. Now, if you guys remember, we had exclusive games for Nintendo. I remember I started off with a Sega Saturn. After, I had the first Nintendo, I had the Super Nintendo, but I didn't even go to the 64 until wrestling games came out for Nintendo 64, and that was a system seller, and I went ahead and bought a Nintendo 64. So there were so many exclusive games, like you had Royal Rumble that finally came out on the Dreamcast, which was like an arcade-like game that let you play like the PlayStation's SmackDown games, which everyone loved, and you had to own a PlayStation to play the SmackDown series. And the SmackDown series was really cool, really fluent, made by THQ, really, really incredible. And we always wanted a game like that. And then they come out with like an arcade version of Royal Rumble, it was called, for the Dreamcast. And of course, then Nintendo had their own exclusive games as well. They had so much competition. Any wrestling fan like myself had to have all the systems to basically be able to play all of these games. Sometimes I'd even exchange it with my friends, system for system, so we could get, experience playing with the games, or we'd go over each other's houses. It was just so cool, because each game offered something the other system did not. And it was just out of this world. And now you guys remember, I also started a petition to make an exclusive game for the Nintendo Switch. And it did really well, and I hope that they actually do something with this petition. But I'm hoping that they actually go through it. But the thing is, we don't know yet. But right now, the head of Ukes pretty much said, we need competition. And right here, I'm just going to read them all to you, and then I'm going to explain it. So right here, he says in the quote here, "But right now, looking at the market demands, players are expecting something new every time we release a game, and we feel like we haven't achieved what we really wanted to do. For example, in many cases, we're still using old assets, and we're not able to do some things in a way that we want to." Now, I think we could all agree with, I'm just sick of 2K. I really am. And every time they come out with a new one, you just see little change in roster, and not much has changed from there, which kind of sucks, to be honest with you. And for us who are always looking for something new, we pretty much don't find it. Now, in the older games at SVR, you had some changes, and then you had some dramatic changes. I mean, you started off from SmackDown series where you have to run through the Hell in the Cell in order to break the gates to go to the outside, and you yourself would have to like supercharge it, if you guys remember that, and then you go into slamming the guy through it and opening the stuff, and also they had the cage door where you open it. The point is, there was changes all the time. You had so much in the THQ games. They had so much to offer. It wasn't just like in 2K, which a lot of the things were missing, and they just focus on more like the simulation. So that's really what it comes down to. 2K focused more on realistic simulation, hence why it's so slow. Now, back in the day, we didn't like slow. We wanted it fast. We didn't want, if you guys remember Attitude and Raw, even for the Xbox, it was extremely slow. They were walking like they had a stick up their butt. Now they look much more realistic, but they're still freaking slow. We liked how fluent it was on the SmackDown series, on the SVR series, how beautiful it was, that arcade style, but, not really motion captured, but, kind of over, like, if you would do the Stone Cold Stunner, you see The Rock flopping around. And you know what? He did that in real wrestling. In the real WWE. He actually flopped around. So it was cool to see that being even more emphasized in the games. And now you just kind of see a stunner and he just falls down. And you don't really feel the impact as much as, you would before. And now, the third quote here, we are trying to launch a new wrestling game. Now, remember, he said trying to launch a new wrestling game. Furuta explained. Of course, we will retain the WWE team, but we are also aware that our creators are beginning to lose sight of their passion and confidence and becoming focused only on completing assigned tasks. We'll get to that. That's not the direction Ukes wants to go in. So in order to compensate, we're going to start a new wrestling project. Okay, so basically we could see what the hell's going on. Now, especially we all, got the sour end of everything on the Nintendo Switch. You saw what happened when they rushed out a copy. They don't really care. They just patch it together, whatever, and release it. And we got probably the worst game on the Nintendo Switch that ever operated on the Nintendo Switch, WWE 2K18. It was literally the worst game, hands down, on the Switch, in terms of how it runs. Horrible. Blind Squirrel did a horrible job. But they were rushed. The team was even rushed. They had glitches on the PC version. They had glitches even on the PlayStation 4, which they fixed right away. Well, within a month or whatever. But they rushed out everything. It just... The direction that it's going, you could clearly tell they were just putting in very minimal effort and just slapping on a new year, on it, like 2K19, and just saying, here, guys, go with that. Oh, we changed a little of the battle mechanics. Oh, we did a little bit of that. I mean, there's not really much that they're doing. Very minimal effort. And like they're saying here, they used old assets, and literally you could tell they were using old assets throughout the whole thing that they already had and just made little minor changes. That's the issue with that. Now, the fourth quote here is, it is a project dear to our hearts and has even become a part of some of the veteran creators' lives. She says in reference to 2K. We have a huge history making these games and still have a good relationship with 2K. Anyhow, WWE would never allow us to stop making these games. However, the new project we have in mind will be the internal competition of WWE. So now we have to ask ourselves a question: is this going to be another Fire? Is this going to be a Fire Pro type wrestling game, or is it going to actually, because they said they are going to keep the original WWE team, or is it going to be a completely revitalized version of the SmackDown series? Now, you're going to go where you're going towards arcade versus simulation, okay? Realistic simulation. Arcade, which is the SVR series, versus motion capture and all of that, which is the simulation of the 2K series. All the 2K series pretty much in a nutshell. So that's what it's going to come down to. It possibly will. Now, this is the thing. A lot of these, even when THQ went out of business, they even have one that, bankrupt. They had one of them that still lives, which is THQ Nordic. Now, if you guys remember, there were rumors before that THQ Nordic was going to come out with a wrestling game. You know, people were talking, people were saying, and, you know, it might have happened, but guess what? Due to licensing, it didn't happen. So again, we can't be too happy about this until we actually know for a fact that this game is coming out. Okay, there's been many rumors of new wrestling games since the Nintendo 64 days, and many of them didn't go through. So we have to see, in the end, are we going to have a copyright issue and they're going to release a Fire Pro wrestling game, which I'm happy with as well. But if they can act, or are they going to come out with an All-Star game, another All-Star game, which personally I'm okay with, but I'm not a big fan of the All-Star series. Okay, I think it's cool, it's nice to have, but I would want a real competitor to the WWE 2K series. Okay, now clearly they're saying we're not against WWE. They're clearly saying, the 2K. They're clearly saying that the 2K video games will still come out. The games will still be out there, but we want to compete with them because we believe that 2K, the creators, truly lost their vision, and I believe that. I think we could all agree with that they completely lost their vision. 2K has lost their vision 100% with their games, and you can clearly see it, how minimal effort they're putting behind their games, especially in the porting world. I mean, the PC had many issues. They had many issues with the Nintendo Switch. Now, there is some positives to the simulation. I love to put my face on something and make it look exactly like me, so that simulation of realistic thing, whatever, it looks really cool. But how it plays, it's very slow, it's very laggy to me, and I have a top, computer, I could play it, I have it on the PlayStation 4, it's still extremely laggy to me. I'm not a big fan of it, as I was of the SVR series, or SmackDown series back in the day, but again, they didn't have much, competition. Well, technically they did, but whatever. Competition always was great in the WWE world, in the video game, in any of the game world. It was always good to see an exclusive game being made for a certain system. Unfortunately here, guys, even though there's rumors, there's no rumor here that this game is going to come out for the Nintendo Switch. Will it? I hope so. But there's no, there's not even proof here that they're saying it's exclusively for the Nintendo Switch. So this is going to be just another game that might come out for all systems, might not come out for PC. As you remember, when they had the SVR series, none of them came out for PC. 2K was actually the only one, and that's what I'm grateful for 2K, that they actually came out with a game finally released for the PC. I think it started off in 2015. And I remember I was going crazy. I was like, oh my God, now I get to play it at 4K resolution. And I get to, 4K. Yeah, I think 4K resolution I was playing it at. But also, what I loved about it is the modding community. I mean, you could pretty much update your game and make it, because there's nothing really changed in any of the series. Just very little. You might as well just update your roster through using mods. And especially when they were leaving out certain, players in the roster, you'd be able to get them back in mods. And it was really cool. And I hope that the arcade, versions like the SVR series, if they do that, if Ukes comes out with that, I hope that they come out with a way that you could still put in your face, that they, Create a Wrestler they always had, but it was kind of like lacking. I would like to see something with Create a Wrestler that would give you more options. I would like to see, but I know for a fact they're going to have, what I loved about the SVR series is you could take the game, right, take it to the parking lot, beat the hell out of the guy, throw him against the car, do all kinds of crazy stuff, but you could take them and battle all throughout the arena. Now, I know they have it on 2K, but it's like, the 2K series was so lame. Everything there was like, you had the Boiler Room, you had all these things, you had Inferno Match, you had all these things that just made the game so much interesting. And the 2K series, you could tell at some times they were really trying to push these new type of options, but they just couldn't. Either it couldn't fit at the, whatever they needed to do, but you could clearly see that there were some issues and they didn't do that, and, it is what it is. Whatever. The thing is, when they ported it, they had Blind Squirrel port it to the Nintendo Switch. It was a complete disaster. And everybody was saying, well, it can't run on the Nintendo. That's bullcrap. Nintendo runs games way more demanding in graphics than a cheesy wrestling game. Okay, and I call it cheesy because it was really bad on this. And when I was playing it on my PC, I absolutely loved it. But, Or the PlayStation 4. But the thing is, that's the issue. And every diehard wrestling fan, I know for a fact, like myself, would want a competition in the wrestling world. I loved games. I was playing wrestling games since the Game Boy days. I mean, I don't even care. I loved it. I loved Raw is War. I loved, Super Nintendo games. I remember when Diesel could actually flip the guy, even though they were like about this yay big. They flipped the guy over the ropes and he falls to the floor. And it was just so cool to add that extra damage. It would be amazing to see Def Jam finally released. Another wrestling competitor like an SVR game or, all in itself. I would love to see No Mercy. I am still saying, Nintendo, please, dear God, come out with a freaking exclusive game. Dear God, please bless them to do that. An exclusive game for the Nintendo Switch, and I think that will increase also competition and become a system seller. And come out with another version of, No Mercy. I think all of these games that you guys had, with today's graphics, would be absolutely stunning. And all the options that were involved in there was just amazing. And to see all of that stuff actually be there would be just out of this world. And that's all I got to say about that. So right now, what we do know is, just like many other development teams in the past said, they're working on it. They're working on a competitive thing. Now, will it see the light of day? No matter what anybody tells you, even my friends in Nintendo of America, there is absolutely zero proof that it's coming out for the Switch, that it's even coming out. Okay, again, if they are having copyright issues or something like that, and there's going to be an issue, and WWE doesn't give them the licensing, and now WWE, ever since, their corporation, is more now business savvy than anything. You could clearly see they're toning down the blood. They're toning down this. They're toning down pretty much everything. They're doing this because now they're more business oriented. And I think it's really sad than being more focused on, like nothing's going to compare to the Attitude Era. And I think ever since Linda McMahon was running for office and all that stuff, offices, things got toned down a lot. But now things became more focused on the business aspect. And you could clearly see that even they are losing vision at times. And it's really sad. But that's the issue. And I think because of that, they're even scared to release licenses to games that will make them look bad, their brand look bad, even though I don't think that could happen, but it could. So I think because of that, they're really, really reserved. They're really careful before releasing that license to somebody. And this is why many of the other dev teams that said they were going to do it end up not doing it. Okay, so we might not see this wrestling game. We might see a Fire Pro wrestling game that has characters that kind of imitate the other characters. So we don't know what's going to happen. What we do know is here is another dev team that said they're going to work on it, an old team that we all know and love, and they're going to be working on a game, hopefully an arcade instead of simulation, but like the old style. And, this would be really, really cool. And if that happens, that's great. But that's all we know right now. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below. Are you happy about the news? I sure as hell am. I'm going to tell you, but I'm not too overexcited because I don't want to be let down. You understand? We had plenty of other ones that said they were going to do it and it never fell through. So I'm happy that there are people out there and dev teams out there that are trying to do this and are pushing for it. That's all I could say right here. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely, if you like what you see, this is the independent channel. This is our channel. Definitely like, subscribe, hit that bell button. There's many more videos to come. But definitely, I am curious to hear what you guys think. I want to know what you think of another wrestling game coming out, possibly to compete with WWE 2K series. Do you want it to come out for Nintendo, or do you want an exclusive game for Nintendo? I have a vote for an exclusive game. I really hope that they can release an exclusive game for it. I would love to see anything really, that can operate, that would let me take a wrestling game on the go. I would love to see more arcade style. Let me know down in the comments below. Are you more fan of the arcade style or the simulation style? Like arcade style, meaning like the SVR series and SmackDown series, or the 2K series simulation? Let me know. Have a good one, y'all. Take care. Bye. As always, guys, if you like what you see, self-funded here, be sure to check out all my other stuff, from mini-series to unboxings to technology, you know, and Nintendo reviews and 3D printer reviews and all that good stuff. If you like what you see, the only way you can help the channel is by liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell button. As many more cool videos to come. Definitely want you guys in it, and I want you guys to be vocal. Definitely comment down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Have a good one, y'all. Take care. Bye.